Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Software Engineer K here, and we have some pretty cool stuff to go through today. So we have the date confirmed from the OMI migration. I'm going to be going through exactly what I'm doing to prepare as the most cost-effective way of getting your tokens onto layer 2. I'm also going to be going through a quick update with tomorrow's comic and just kind of what I've noticed, but specifically what I want to really focus on is the gems that have currently been circulating in the app, the current gem purchases, just how that is moving in relation to the general VeVe market and how that impact on OMI as well. So first off, we have Web of Spider-Man number 32 upcoming for tomorrow. Now I've noticed, an interesting trend with these comics. They all kind of sit around about the same price point, but the one with kind of like, I guess, the less favorable color, where it's not kind of less favorable cover, where it's not kind of like Spider-Man in the center. It's like a third-party character. Those ones tend to do less well. So it seems, obviously Spider-Man kind of taking up most of the cover. That's always going to do better. So this Web of Spider-Man one, that one did the best so far, followed by the Craven one, and then we had today's one as well. Now tomorrow's one, I believe, is probably going to be a bit more valuable than today's drop. Not a huge amount, maybe for the common, like 5-6 gems more, just because this is a more like center focus piece on Spider-Man himself. Now, that being said, I don't see this going for a crazy amount. I'd say about 35 gems for the common, 45 for the uncommon, the rare around about, 80, ultra rare about 160, 170. Secret rare, I think, can possibly push 1k, but I would say, close to about 800. So yeah, it's a pretty standard drop, 1987. So again, similar to the other years, they're all 1987 because they're all featured as part of the same 6 series arc. And then after that we have 2 more to go, so we'll just see what happens, but I believe they're all going to be roughly the same price because they're same edition numbers as well. Now in terms of the OMI swap, so the date is confirmed. It is the 27th of January, so that gives us 7 days. VeVe said, well, VeVe, they said to have all your gems ready for whichever method you want to use by the 25th. So you guys have about 5 days to finalize your preparations. I'll walk you guys through exactly what I'm doing. So, they kind of, in this article, they've summarized exactly, what you should do if you hold OMI in a trust wallet or OMI in an exchange, or if you have, wrapped OMI. And they kind of go through a bit through the swap site. So my personal recommendation, and you don't have to follow this, it's just what I'm doing, is I'm not going to be waiting for the swap site, just because, as Reese said, swapping from the GoChain OMI to the Ether OMI, that is a higher order transaction that's going to have gas fees associated with it, as well as the fees for transferring. What I am doing, and what I've already done, is I moved about $50,000 worth of OMI into the VeVe app. And the reason I did that is because, 1, it only costs 1 OMI token to do that, and 2, if you leave your OMI tokens on the VeVe app, they kind of cover the gas fees for you, and they manage the the migration on your behalf. You don't need to do any kind of manual swapping, any kind of swap sites, none of that. The VeVe app will do that all for you. Now, remaining OMI tokens, what I've done is I've just moved them onto an exchange, because again, the exchange covers that fee. They do the migration for you. So there's no gas fees related to this, because gas fees, as you guys know, can be quite pricey, especially if you don't own that much OMI, you probably end up paying a big percentage of your holdings as gas, and then you have to transfer it out again. So I'm leaving my OMI on the exchange to get the layer 1 OMI, which is on ETH, so I can trade it, sell it, transfer it, whatever. Layer 2 OMI is going to be in the VeVe app, that is on the layer 2 solution IMX, so we'll be able to kind of freely use it for staking and whatnot once more OMI utility is revealed, but you don't need to pay any kind of fees associated with that. So that's my personal recommendation and that's what I'm doing. So you guys can decide, but just be prepared that there is probably going to be a lot of volatility on OMI when the migration is happening. I believe there is going to be a lot of short-term upwards movement, followed by a very kind of sharp correction as well. So, but overall, I believe OMI will be sitting higher than where it currently is. So, I would say just prepare for that migration. Now, what I did also want to touch on is Puddin Cheeks. He has been updating his sheet on just how much gems are being purchased in the app. Now, the way this works is basically he looks at how much OMI is being moved to the reserve, and he basically looks at the average price of OMI for that day, basically divides that into the amount of OMI being moved to the reserve, and he basically gets, you know, the average amount in terms of dollars spent on gems for that day. Pretty simple. Now, as we've been seeing, from the 4th of January, we've consistently seen, you know, an increase in the amount of dollars spent. So you can see we've been consistently on 1 million plus pretty much, you know, since the 4th of January onwards. And then the last week we've seen a huge upsurge. You know, we went to 2 million and then 3 million and then 4.5 million yesterday in gems on the app. And so far, you know, the day's not over technically, 2.3 million so far. So there's still a lot of money, a lot of new money flowing into the app every single day. Now, there has been a correction on the collectibles market, and like I said, any retracement, any correction is not going to be harsh because new money is going to continue to flow into the app, as you can see, and that is going to offset, you know, any kind of dilution we get from new collectibles being released on the app, just because of how much money is flowing in. And people who are kind of panic selling right now because they're fearing, you know, like a big correction or a big gem squeeze because they think, you know, Pokemon or something is dropping next month, I would say, in my opinion, it's not something I would be doing. I'm not in the game of selling right now just because of how much money is flowing into the app. You know, we saw just how quickly prices had moved, you know, in a couple of days. So I don't think it's a, you know, take profits if you want to take profits, but for me, I'm just holding now because, you know, now's the time for me to kind of hold my bags. So yeah, this spreadsheet, again, you can find it on Puddin Cheeks' Twitter. Just follow Puddin Cheeks on Twitter at Puddin Cheeks. And for those who know, Puddin Cheeks has been, you know, part of the Komi community since, you know, pretty much day one. So, you know, very good, very trustworthy source. Now, lastly, what I want to touch on is just the price of OMI for today. So we have seen some interesting stuff happening. Now, if I just zoom out. Okay, so we can see that as let's just go to the 4-hourly chart. Okay, that's better. So yeah, on the 4-hourly chart, we can see that we had this point of resistance at 0.67. And I said if we can break and hold above, then we are clear for 0.8, and that's exactly what happened. So remember, you know, previously we were just boxing into zone, and I said, you know, we're not going to leave the zone onto the migration. The migration date is confirmed. You can see OMI just starting to take off now. Now, that being said, we are now retesting this point of resistance at 0.8. And what could happen? Well, let's just go to the hourly chart. Okay, so that's better. So at 0.8, we just need to close and hold above. So if we kind of see this where this candle wick to, if we can close and hold above, break and retest, then we are clear to kind of continue upwards to that 0.1 cent region. And I think that's where we're going to go. That seems realistic to me. 0.1 cents is kind of like a region where we've been just, you know, waiting for the longest amount of time. And I think that is going to happen probably within the next month. Now, if it doesn't, then, you know, that's cool as well. That just means we can accumulate more OMI for cheaper price. But once the OMI staking is fully confirmed, you know, you have to be aware because the rumored tier is a $50,000 OMI staking tier. And when people realize just how difficult it's going to be to get collectibles on the new drop system, it's going to be far more difficult than the current system. Then OMI staking, master collector program, all of that stuff is pretty much going to be the difference between landing drops and pretty much never landing drops. So that's going to become all the more important. And as they drop bigger IP, it may actually be worthwhile burning some OMI just to, you know, as part of the OMI utility program, just to increase your chance of getting, you know, the really big IP drops. So we're going to start to see some crazy stuff happening in OMI. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to go through with you guys today. Thanks so much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, support the content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.